The main point of going to Arches National Park is, of course, to see the arches. There are over 2,000 natural arches in the park, but most of them are in the backcountry. In today's episode, we're going to look at the top 10 best arches in Arches National Park. Hi, I'm James Ian, and I've written numerous guides and published several itineraries for Arches National Park, Utah, and I'm going to share the arches that you definitely don't want to miss. If you're watching this on YouTube, like and subscribe right now. If you're watching or listening somewhere else, follow my podcast to get the episodes as they come out. Some of the arches in the park are very accessible. You can see them with very little effort. Others are at the end of a moderate hike, and there are also arches that require even more of an effort to get to. So, depending on your mobility, you may not be able to see all of them on this list, but by the end of the episode, you'll have a good sense of the ones that you can and want to see. Be sure to stay to the end where I'll be sharing my favorite arch. It's actually not the easiest to get to, but if you can, it's 100% worth the effort. Let's take a look.
Welcome to National Parks Collecting with James Ian, the National Park expert. He is here to help you have the best national parks trips ever. Get tips, discover hidden gems, and learn all you need to know. This is your path to collecting national parks experiences, memories, and maybe even a stamp or two.
So, what are the best arches in Arches National Park? The first arch on my list is Delicate Arch. This is by far the most famous arch in the park, and indeed the most famous arch in Utah. In fact, it's on the state license plates. Unlike most of the arches in the park, which are still connected to larger rock formations, Delicate Arch is freestanding. The opening in the arch is 46 feet high and 32 feet wide, making it the largest freestanding arch in the park. Actually a 3-mile round-trip moderate hike to get to the arch, which stands on the edge of a bowl. If that sounds too daunting, you can get a more distant, it's actually about a mile away, view of the arch from the Delicate Arch viewpoints. The lower Delicate Arch viewpoint is very easy. It's just 100 yards from the parking area, while the upper viewpoint has a slightly better view, but is a half-mile walk with some stairs. I actually found the last section of the hike to the arch itself a little intimidating. It's along a ledge with a steep drop-off on one side. I'm afraid of heights, so I didn't love it, but stuck to the wall and it was fine. It's actually much wider than it seems if your fear is kicked in. So it's not unsafe. Just be aware if you're afraid of heights. It is kind of something to push through just a little bit. You don't see the arch until you actually get right there. So when you arrive, you turn a corner and bam, the arch is right there. You arrive at the top of the rim of a natural bowl, and from there, there's a great view. It's just amazing. I sat down immediately and didn't move, but braver people than me then walked around and even down right to the arch. The arch is especially sensational at sunset, and this is when it's busiest. I think it's totally worth staying to the sunset. If you do, just take a flashlight or a headlamp for the walk back. It can be dark by the time you get back. And I will say that if you hiked to the arch and then you go to the viewpoints later, which only have a much more distant view of the arch, you might be a little bit disappointed. So you could easily skip the viewpoints, though it does give a sense of where the arch is located in relation to the surrounding environment, which I found kind of interesting. Next up is not one, but two arches. Two really popular arches are the windows, the north window and the south window. They're in the windows section of the park where there's a parking loop that has an upper and a lower parking area. The trail to the windows arches starts at the upper parking area, which is the first one that you get to. It's kind of a loop at the end of the road. There's a short connecting trail that connects the lower parking area where the trail to the double arch is. If the upper parking lot is full, just continue around the loop and grab a parking at the lower area and then just walk through the connecting trail. North window is visible from the parking lot, but if you can, it's worth the hike to the arches. It's an easy 1-mile trail. There are some stairs. It's just about a 99-foot elevation change, so not huge. You first come to the north window and then you go a little further along to get to the south window. Kind of a cool thing, you can actually climb to the bottom of the arch and look through to the scenery beyond, And then opposite the windows is Turret Arch, also worth a quick look. You can return on the same trail, or you can continue around the back of the windows on a primitive trail if you're feeling adventurous. I really enjoy exploring this area. The trail is a lollipop with a loop that connects the windows and the nearby Turret Arch. And my favorite part is climbing to the bottom of the north window and looking through the arch. It's really kind of cool. Third is another arch in the same area, and that's Double Arch. Arches National Park has several famous arches, and this is one of them, because it's not one but two connected arches. It's the tallest, it's 112 feet tall, and the second longest, at 144 feet, arch in the park. To reach the arch, it's an easy 0.6 mile round-trip walk from the window's lower parking area. Be aware that the trail is not difficult, but it is shadeless and hot. It's worth it if you can, as seeing the two connected arches up close is very impressive. And then when you get there, it's a short but very steep climb up to the bottom of the arches. I actually didn't manage to do this, but some people did. The fourth arch on my list is the biggest arch in Arches National Park, and that's Landscape Arch. This is the longest arch in North America, and actually the third longest natural arch in the world. The opening is a very impressive 306 feet wide. Making it even more dramatic is the fact that it's only 6 feet diameter at its narrowest section, so it's very narrow. Large sections of the arch actually came crashing down in the 1990s, so yes, it is actually very possible that it will fall in our lifetime, so see it while you can. The arch is in the Devil's Garden section of the park. That trail is divided into 3 different sections, and Landscape Arch is at the end of the first easy section of that trail. I thought seeing the arch was super cool, but it is up kind of high and it's not as clear as some of the others. So while it's impressive because it's so long and thin, it's actually not quite as dramatic as I was expecting. But it's pretty easy to access and worth it though, for sure. The next arch on my list is also in Devil's Garden, and this is Partition Arch. When you're standing at the bottom of Landscape Arch, look up slightly to the right at the top of the ridge, and you'll see a smaller arch, and you may even see some people standing inside the arch. That's Partition Arch. To reach it, you need to continue on the middle section of the Devil's Garden Trail from Landscape Arch towards Double O Arch. You need to walk up a sandstone fin and then climb along the top of a ridge, and then a spur trail goes to Partition Arch. And when you're there, you can actually look through the arch as you saw the people from below, and you can look down at Fin Canyon and beyond. There's a complete guide to the Devil's Garden Trail in the show notes below. I like this arch. The fact that you can look through the arch at this panoramic view spread out below makes it a bit different from most of the other arches. We are halfway through already. Before we look at 5 more arches in the park, if you're watching this on my @National Parks Collecting YouTube channel and you haven't already, please like and subscribe below. It really does help. The next arch on my list is one of the best arches for kids, and that's Sand Dune Arch. It's not very big, but the location is awesome. From the parking lot, it's actually just a very short walk. It's on a narrow, sandy trail to a rocky outcrop. You'll see it there from the parking lot if you're entering it from the main parking lot. It's just 0.2 miles each way. When you get there, turn towards the outcrop, and then you go through this narrow passageway between 2 fins. And after you've squeezed through the narrow passageway, you emerge in this hidden area that's completely surrounded by towering rocks, and the only way to get in is through this narrow passageway between these really steep rocks. It's very fun. And then in front of you is another fin that you can walk up a little way, and you won't see any arches when you get there at first. And then turn to your right, go around a small little corner, and bam, there's this tiny but super cute Sand Dune Arch. How does Sand Dune Arch get its name? Well, there's actually a small sand dune under the arch. You can walk through the arch and climb the sand dune. This is a great place to cool off on a hot day because it's kind of shady most of the time and it's fun for kids. Though I do recommend trying to go early in the morning or late afternoon as it can get crowded. This arch isn't on my list because it's the biggest or the best, but it is one of the most fun and the location is amazing. You'll feel kind of like an adventurer discovering this hidden open area cave kind of thing. Fun. The next arch isn't one of the most popular, so you'll usually share it with a lot fewer people than most of the others. It's a great arch, though. It's Broken Arch. Now, the arch name is a misnomer. It's not actually broken, but if you look at it carefully, there's a large crack in the middle of the top part of the arch that makes it look broken. One day it will be, I'm sure, but not yet. The arch is reached on a soft, sandy trail, either from Sand Dune Arch or from the Devil's Garden campground. If you're at the campground, start at the toilet block near campsite number 40, and it ends between, if you do a bit of a loop, it ends between campsites 51 and 52, or vice versa. Broken Arch can also be easily combined with the nearby Tapestry Arch that I'll talk about in a second. And when you get there, you can walk through the arch. I recommend this. In fact, the trail goes through the arch, so you can see it from both directions if you do that. Of course, you should never walk on top of any arch, but it's fine to walk through the bottom. The trail is 2.3 miles or 1.8 miles, depending on which direction you came from, round trip, which isn't super long, but it is soft sand for most of it, and this can be a bit challenging. I really like that the trail goes through the arch, so you can easily see it from both sides. Not too far away is number 8 on the list, which is Tapestry Arch. And this is one of the most interesting arches in the park for a different reason. It's a large arch in a long fin with another fin right behind it, so there isn't much of a view through it, actually. However, what makes this special is that you can see 3 other arches forming next to it in the same sandstone fin. It makes it really easy to see how the arches are formed, so it's really interesting, and what they look like before they become full arches. You can climb up from the end of the trail to the base of the arch and stand inside the arch itself. If you hike here after hiking the full Devil's Garden Trail in the morning, as I did, the soft sandy trail there can seem a little bit like punishment, but when you get there, you'll be glad you did it. I really enjoyed seeing the 3 other proto-arches, as they're called nearby, the ones that are forming to become full arches. I really got a sense of what the arch-making process is like. Really interesting. Another easy-to-access arch is Skyline Arch. In fact, it's one of the easiest. Unlike most of the arches on this list, it's up high, so you can't climb to the bottom of it, hence the name, I guess. Fun fact, half of this arch was actually blocked until 1940, and then that half a block fell away, leaving the full arch, but there are also a bunch of boulders at the bottom, which you can see. You can reach those boulders at the bottom and the closest view of the arch on a 0.2 mile walk each way on a trail from the parking lot. It's flat but sandy. What's the number 1 arch in Arches National Park? So far today, we've seen 9 amazing arches. Well, 10 technically, since the windows are 2 arches, I suppose. There's just one more left. Stay to the end to hear my absolute favourite arch in the national park. But before we do, you may be thinking, these arches all look amazing and I want to see them all. But how can I combine all of them into an actual schedule for my trip? This was one of the main things that I took into account when I created my Arches National Park itineraries. It's hard to see all 10 arches in one day, but with the 2-day itinerary, you can see them all. Other sites in Arches National Park, in addition to the arches, like Balanced Rock and Park Avenue, and you'll want to see them too. The park is popular, and even though there is a timed entry at the busiest times of the year, parking at the popular areas can still fill up, so timing is really key. That's exactly why I created these super detailed itineraries for the park. There are 1 and there's a 2 and 3 day option. You can find the link in the description box below. But we can take a quick walk through now. The itineraries include a park overview, and then there's a detailed section for each day, and then all sorts of details for each of those breakdown times, with hiking and driving descriptions and maps, alternate activities in the same part of the park if you're traveling with people who want to do different things. There are tips, timings, and more. With one of these itineraries, you'll know exactly what to do and when and how to connect them all in a way that makes the most sense to be in the right place at the right time. Without this itinerary, people often find themselves struggling how to coordinate their time to be in the right place at the right time, to see and do all that they want in the time they have available. The itineraries will help take away the overwhelm and give you all the information that you need in one spot so that you don't need to worry about missing out on a highlight of the park or stress about how to put everything that you want to do into a schedule that makes the most sense. Just follow a link in the show notes below. Now, as promised, what's my number one arch in Arches National Park? My favorite arch in the park is Double O Arch. This arch is at the end of the middle section of the Devil's Garden Trail. You need to walk across the top of a rock fin to get there, which is not great if you're afraid of heights, which I kind of am. But if you can manage that, and I did, it's totally worth it. When you first arrive, you'll see a large arch on your left. It's 71 feet across. This is actually the second largest arch in the national park after Landscape Arch. As you approach closer, you'll see a smaller arch, just 21 feet below the large arch. And it's a bit of a scramble, but you can climb up and through the smaller arch. If you do that, then continue up the rock a short ways and then turn around and look back. And you have this amazing view of the two arches with sandstone fins beyond them. It's just incredible. For me, this is the best arch in the park. The fact that you can so easily see the entire fin that the arches are formed from, that there are two of them directly above and below each other, and that you have a great view of more fins and beyond is really cool. You need to hike to get there, and not great if you're afraid of heights, but if you can manage it, I highly recommend it. If you want help planning your trip, check the links in the description box below. There's a bunch of planning and booking resources that you can use to plan and book your trip. And keep watching my videos to get even more help so that you can have the best national parks vacation ever. And if you want to get notified about the next episode, subscribe and click below.